The top stories tonight in Y News. The government is mulling over the possibility of extending the enhanced community quarantine or downgrade it to modified enhanced community quarantine after August 20.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology trains local government units for the digital vaccination certificate.
The government allocates 45 billion pesos for COVID-19 vaccine booster shots in 2022.
The Department of Foreign Affairs is already working on a second repatriation flight for Filipinos who are still in Afghanistan.
Mail-in ballots could delay results in Canada's September elections.
The efficacy of two COVID-19 vaccines against the Delta variant declines 3 months after inoculation, according to studies.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is August 19, 2021. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I am Herlene Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website untvweb.com. I am Maria Latoza.
First in the news. President Rodrigo Duterte will announce on Friday, August 20, the quarantine classification for Metro Manila the same day the enhanced community quarantine expires. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the government has only 2 options for the new quarantine status. Rosa Licos will give us the details.
The government is mulling over the possibility of extending the enhanced community quarantine or downgrading it to modified enhanced community quarantine after August 20. According to presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, the figures on healthcare utilization rate in Metro Manila is still encouraging. However, the effects of the strictest quarantine classification on the COVID-19 situation may not be seen immediately.
Well, the data shows hindi nga po na-overwhelm ang ating mga hospital. Nasa moderate risk lang po ang mga ICU beds natin dito sa Metro Manila, no?
Earlier, Interior Secretary Eduardo Año said the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases is considering to recommend the ECQ extension or shifting the region under MECQ. But the main consideration right now is that the government has no funds available for the cash assistance for individuals who will be affected in case the ECQ is extended. This concern was echoed by Pateros Mayor Miguel Ponce.
Talagang mahihirapan tayo kung mag-extend pa yung ECQ. Unang-una, wala tayong ibibigay na ayuda sa ating mga kababayan. Even yung granular lockdown ay mahihirapan tayo rito kung hindi natin palalabasin yung mga nagtatrabaho, yung mga APOR na tinatawag. Dahil wala tayong sustain sa kanila, no?
Mayor Miguel Ponce says it is now more important to make the people better understand the importance of following health protocols and getting vaccinated to ensure safety while attending to their daily needs. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine National Police has accosted more than 500,000 community quarantine violators across the country from August 6th until today. That number does not include individuals who have not been caught openly defying health and safety protocols. JP Duñez reports.
Majority of the recently recorded community quarantine violators are individuals who do not wear face masks or face shield, curfew violators, and non-authorized persons outside of residence, or non-APORs who go outdoors. According to data from the Philippine National Police, more than 500,000 community quarantine violators have been recorded across the country for the period of August 6 to 19, 2021. More than 122,000 of that number were violators accosted in the National Capital Region.
Hindi po tayo makaka-accost ng 109,000 sa Metro Manila or 570,000 sa buong Pilipinas kung ang pulis natin ay patulog-tulog lamang. So ba't kasi kulang kami para bantayan dyan? Kaya nga po kami, from the very start, force multiplier.
PNP Chief Police General Guillermo Eleazar says that the daily average of community quarantine violators they have recorded reached 44,000. 79% of those violators had been warned, 13% had been issued with ticket, and 8% had been brought to the police station.
Hindi ito ibig sabihin na ito lang nagbabiolate ha. Ito lang yung na-accost natin. And alam naman natin, ang pulis natin, hindi natin pwede mabantayan lahat ng lugar. Sa lahat ng pagkakataon, kahit nga sa checkpoint natin, hindi lahat nalalagyan natin ng checkpoint. Only strategic places. At isa pa, pagdating sa checkpoint, hindi lahat ng sakyan na check natin. Dahil pag traffic na po yan, ang bili natin, mag-random checking tayo.
The ECQ in Metro Manila will end tomorrow, but the PNP continues to call on the public to strictly follow the minimum public health standards.
Isang taot mahigit kalahati na tayo dito. Ano ba naman na sundin natin itong minimum public health standard? The tried and tested formula na dapat kung lalabas ka, face mask, face shield.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology is all set to launch by September the country's digital vaccination certificate. This will serve as a vaccination proof of Filipinos going abroad. Marvin Calas will give us the details live. Marvin, how does the DICT prepare for this?
Yes, Mariel, the Department of Information and Communications Technology is now on its third week of training local government units on how to collect and submit their constituents' vaccination data in this portal. VaxCert-PH, developed by the DICT for the Department of Health, relies on the data submitted by LGUs through the Vaccine Information Management System. And so far, most of the LGUs are able to submit 100% of their daily data. Based on reports, Metro Manila has the highest compliance rate. This digital vaccination certificate will contain a person's complete name and the date and place of inoculation, as well as the brand of vaccine given. Undersecretary Manica Intik of the DICT assured the public of the authenticity and data privacy of the digital vaccination certificate, adding that it is guaranteed to be accepted by other countries as it is unified and issued only by a single department in line with the guidelines issued by the World Health Organization.
Okay na ang system. Handa na siya sana at naka-integrate na ito sa World Health Organization countries. Kaso lang, gusto lang natin ng sapat na panahon para magkaroon ng kumpiyansa ang ating mga LGU. Vaccine information data ay talagang iisa lang ang source at ito'y pinoproteksyonan natin sa pagtutulungan namin. At ang pag-issue po ng vaccine certificate ay private key encrypted at ito'y hawak lang po ng Department of Health.
Mariel, Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. earlier disclosed that the vaccination cards being issued in the Philippines are not accepted in Hong Kong because they are not connected to a single source or department. That's today's live. Back to you, Mariel.
Thank you, Marvin Calas, reporting live. The implementation of the enhanced community quarantine did not affect the vaccine rollout in the country. In fact, the National Vaccination Operations Center revealed more people had been inoculated since the reimposition of the ECQ. Aiko Miguel will give us the details why.
The National Vaccination Operations Center had been recording over 15,000 daily average vaccinees before the implementation of enhanced community quarantine in some areas last August 6. But during ECQ, NVOC noted more vaccinees, especially among senior citizens or those in the A2 priority sector and those with comorbidity or A3 sector.
Ang 7-day average job natin during the ECQ was 168,063. So tumaas yan ng 17,000. Mas mataas tayo ng 17,000 average yan compared to pre-ECQ, no, mga 16,139. So we have a total of 1.8 million that have been job
Undersecretary Mirna Kabutahe explained that one of the possible reasons why people opted to get vaccinated is the fear of the more transmissible COVID-19 Delta variant.
Unang-una, nag-improve ng husto yung ating acceptance, di ba? Natakot sila sa Delta variant, so mas dumami ang gustong magpapakuna. Tapos since naka-ECQ, mas madaling pumunta ngayon sa mga bakuna center, diba? Hindi kailangan i-postpone kasi nga may mga ongoing mga trabaho. So they do not really need to go anywhere else. So it's a multiple factors.
As of August 18, 2021, there are 12.8 million Filipinos who had been inoculated. 16.2 million had received their first dose. Meanwhile, because of the limited COVID-19 vaccine supply in the country, giving booster shots is not yet an option right now. However, the government is already planning to administer them to the more vulnerable sector by next year.
One thing is sure, we are going to have boosters for health workers and for the immunocompromised. For the reasons, maybe next year yon, for the reasons that the health workers are the most at risk and yung immunocompromised, hindi sila kasi nakakamount ng adequate antibody. Most probably 1 year after the primary dose. Pinagdedebatihan pa ng ating mga experts.
The World Health Organization earlier calls on world leaders to be fair and postpone giving booster shots. According to WHO, there's vaccine injustice in not giving fair share of COVID-19 vaccines to countries and prioritizing administering COVID-19 booster shots. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The government allocates 240.74 billion pesos in the 2022 national budget for the country's COVID-19 response. This includes a chunk for COVID-19 vaccine booster shots. Rosalie Cos reports.
The Department of Health as well as the Department of Education will get the highest share of the proposed national budget for the year 2022. 45.3 billion pesos is allotted for the procurement of COVID-19 vaccine booster shots. This is amid concerns that antibodies in some COVID-19 vaccines fade after 6 months. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque assures that the government could procure COVID-19 vaccine booster shots earlier since they are already funded by multilateral lending agencies.
Wala pong issue na sa 2022 lahat tayo mabibigyan ng booster shot kasi nandyan nga po yan sa budget.
Meanwhile, the government hopes the deliveries of vaccine supplies from the United States of America will not be affected by the plan of US to provide booster shots for Americans in September.
Hindi po natin masasabi yan. At sana wag. Sana wag. Dahil sabi nga ng WHO, sana naman po para sa mga bansang mayayaman, isipin naman din po nila yung mga bansa tulad ng Pilipinas at ng iba pang mga bansa na kahit yung unang shot pa lang wala pa.
The government aims to have 25 to 30 million doses of vaccine deliveries, including Pfizer vaccines from US. Aside from DOH, billions of pesos will also be allotted for the Department of Labor and Employment, Department of Social Welfare and Development, and the Department of Science and Technology. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Some lawmakers seek accountability to those government officials who mismanage their funds. According to Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate, Health Secretary Francisco Duque III is liable for plunder or graft. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Makabayan Block 1's Department of Health Secretary Francisco Duque III out of the agency. This came after they heard the explanation of Secretary Duque in the first round of hearing of both houses of Congress regarding the 67.23 billion peso deficiencies flagged by the Commission on Audit.
Ang hindi lang suspension, dapat tanggalin talaga sa pwesto si Duque, panagutin din si Duterte sa kanyang kapabayaan.
According to Bayan Muna Party List Representative Carlos Zarate, Secretary Duque is already liable for graft or plunder.
Ang threshold ng plunder is 50 million. So ang pinag-uusapan rito ay mahigit na 50 million. And at the very least, pwede silang maging liable din in violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Law. Dahil hindi lang naman ang anti-graft is doon sa meron kang ginawa, kundi kabahagi rin dyan yung wala kang ginawa sa mga obligasyon at duties mo na dapat mong gawain.
In connection also with COA report, the Bakabayan Bloc filed today a House resolution to investigate the anomalous transactions in the distribution of the Social Amelioration Program of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. But Malacanang assures that the taxpayers' money were not wasted and President Duterte is ready to take action against officials who are involved in corruption.
Well, lahat po na nakikipag-ugnayan sa ahensya, wala pong kaduda-duda. Sa ating opisina, wala pong kaduda-duda, ginagamit sa tama po ang pondo. Kasi yan po ang marching order ng Presidente. At sa dami po ng mga nasibak na ng Presidente dahil po sa korupsyon, wala naman pong kaduda-duda na kung meron talagang ebidensya, sibak po yan.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senator Christopher Bongo has denied reports that the former head of an attached agency of the Budget Department served as his aide. This as the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee wants to invite the former official due to the purchase of alleged overpriced face masks and face shield. Harleen Delgado will tell us why.
Former Special Assistant to the President turned Senator Christopher Bongo says former Undersecretary Christopher Lloyd Lau never worked for him. Lau was the head of the Department of Budget and Management's Procurement Service when the purchase of alleged overpriced face masks and face shield was made last year. In a statement, Go says that Lau was a volunteer election lawyer of President Duterte in 2016 and was appointed to the presidential management staff until 2017. He was then appointed to Housing and Land Use Regulatory Board and later as Undersecretary in the DBM in 2017 before resigning last June of this year for unknown reasons. Go, who also sits as the chairperson of Senate Committee on Health, adds he already assumed his post as a senator in July 2019 when Lau was designated as the DBM Procurement Service head in August 2019. The senator also welcomes the investigation on the procurements made by the DBM's Procurement Service and to summon the former official in the next hearing. Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon wants Lau to attend the hearing next week, noting that he could be the missing link in the COA findings. Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Richard Gordon earlier said they would track down the former official and invite him to the next hearing on August 25. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God. Some bus operators support transportation bubble for passengers who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19, but the presidential spokesperson says talks about it are premature. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why.
The proposed transportation bubble will be an advantage to city bus operations. This as Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion and the Department of Transportation explore the possibility of vaccinating the country's public utility bus drivers in a bid to deploy buses for fully vaccinated passengers in the National Capital Region. Some bus operators say this may not greatly impact the revenue due to the limited capacity already being implemented in bus operations. However, it will provide additional protection.
We support it kasi unang-una, safety yan ng mga passengers natin. At the same time, drivers din namin. So sa amin, okay sa amin yung bubble.
Concepcion plans to vaccinate 40,000 city bus drivers in the metropolis. They have already secured 10,000 vaccines, which they may start to inoculate in the next week or so.
At least we have secured some doses for them, no? And eventually, yung mga bus owners and Secretariat's team will meet to plan out on how we can implement buses for fully vaccinated people.
The DOTR, on the other hand, is open to the suggestion of creating transportation bubble. In a statement, Transportation Spokesperson Assistant Secretary God's Hope Libiran says the DOTR and the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board are already studying the system. But for presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, it is early to discuss such proposal.
We appreciate the suggestion po, no? Pero siguro pag-usapan natin yan kapag meron na po tayong population protection. Kasi ngayon po, papunta pa lang tayo sa population protection ng 50%. Siguro po pag naabot na natin ng 50, pwede na natin pag-usapan yan. Pero sa ngayon po, minorya pa lang po ang fully vaccinated.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines today recorded 14,895 new COVID-19 infections, bringing the nationwide tally to 1,791,003. The Department of Health, or DOH, said the latest tally pushed the number of active cases in the country to 111,720. Of this, 95.3% are mild, 1.8% are asymptomatic, 0.87% are moderate, 1.3% are severe, and 0.7% are in critical condition. The tally does not include data from 2 testing laboratories that failed to submit data on time. Meanwhile, total recoveries rose to 1,648,402 after 8,248 more patients recuperated from the viral disease. The death toll climbed to 30,881 with 258 new fatalities. Meanwhile, according to the Johns Hopkins University, the current global caseload and death toll stood at 209,431,249 and 4,396,057 respectively. The U.S. remains the worst-hit country with 37,158,309 cases and 624,260 deaths. In terms of infections, India follows with 32,322,258 cases and 433,049 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes next with 571,662 fatalities and 20,457,897 confirmed cases. The Philippine Ports Authority has warned importers and exporters in the country to make necessary operational adjustments to limit the impact of upcoming delays caused by the subsequent closure of several ports in China due to COVID-19. Ray Pelayo reports.
China's Ningbo Shushan Port, the world's third largest container port, continues to shut one of its terminals due to the Delta COVID-19 variant. Majority of the Philippines' import and export passed through these transshipment ports. Philippine Ports Authority or PPA General Manager J. Daniel Santiago has urged local importers and exporters to prepare as the delays in cargo shipments will eventually catch up with us due to the congestion being experienced in these ports.
Regardless of kung ano yung nature or character ng mga kargamento natin, magandang magplano tayo ng mas maaga-aga para hindi maantala ang ating mga importasyon at ang pag-export din natin.
Meanwhile, the Aduana Truckers Association says they are now experiencing shortage of shipping containers. Among the products that could be affected, according to the group, are the shipment of medical supplies.
Magto 2 months na po kaming walang shipment bound for Ningbo dahil nga po dyan sa sitwasyon nila sa Ningbo Port.
According to the PPA, once the Ningbo Port opens, the next challenge would be the influx of cargo shipment. Santiago urges importers to get their shipments immediately to avoid further port congestion.
Medyo lahat tayo, hindi lamang sa terminal operator, pati sa mga truckers natin, pati sa mga warehousing natin, kailangan paspas muna ang kilos natin dito dahil mahirap na tayo ang maipitan na sa ating magkaroon ng congestion.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
For those watching us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The Supreme Court urges applicants for the 2020 to 2021 bar examinations to choose local testing centers closest to their area of residence. Dante Almento tells us why.
The High Court wants to ensure the protection of the bar personnel and examinees during the annual examinations in November 2021 amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, the office of the bar chairperson will implement some changes, such as the conduct of the first ever digital bar exams this year. Universities and colleges in provinces will also be used as local testing centers in order for the examinees not to travel here in Manila. Currently, there are already 24 higher education institutions approved as testing centers. There are 5 venues here in NCR to include the Ateneo de Manila University and the University of Santo Tomas. Bar Chairperson Supreme Court Associate Justice Marvic Leonen advises bar applicants to choose the nearest testing center in their area. The Supreme Court also stresses to prioritize those who have limited resources and from remote areas to be given first of the slots. SC is expected to announce the COVID-19 protocols for the bar examinations on early October. But the High Court recently urged bar applicants to avail free vaccination in their respective local government units. The Office of the Bar Chairperson suggests that all bar examinees will be fully vaccinated by November. Last July 15, the court has launched an online portal or Bar Plus to allow applicants to submit their requirements online. Payments of bar application fee can also be done online. For more information over the bar exams and process of application, visit Supreme Court official website and social media pages. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Foreign Affairs is already working on a second repatriation flight for Filipinos who are still in Afghanistan. The agency advised them to prepare to leave when opportunity comes. The Philippine Embassy in Pakistan is also in touch with all Filipinos in Afghanistan who have given their contact details and advised everyone to remain ready to move anytime. Ray Pelayo will give us the details.
The Department of Foreign Affairs confirms that there are about 7 Filipinos in Qatar and 5 in the United Kingdom who have been able to evacuate from Afghanistan. Their exit was facilitated with the help of their employers. Prior to this, 35 OFWs from Afghanistan arrived in the Philippines last Tuesday who are now on quarantine in hotels in the National Capital Region. But a group of Filipinos sought the help of UNTV News and Rescue this morning and asked to assist them in communicating with the Philippine Embassy in the United Kingdom. We immediately forwarded their contact details to a DFA official who was able to reach them right away. The group of Filipinos is now scheduled to fly back to the Philippines before the end of August. According to DFA, about 90 Filipinos remain in Afghanistan. 79 of them have registered for repatriation. The DFA attempted 2 evacuation flights last night but did not succeed because commercial flights were cancelled. The agency assures it is doing all possible means to repatriate Filipinos from Afghanistan. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the head of Canada's election oversight body announced Wednesday that the counting of mail-in ballots is set after the election on September 20. RK Liorca will tell us why live. Yes, RK, good evening.
Oriel, mail-in ballots in the upcoming federal elections in Canada are expected to surge from 2.3 to 4.3 million, as opposed to the 2019 elections where it gathered less than 50,000 mail. However, due to the current pandemic situation and with millions of votes to be canvassed, results may take longer than usual. Chief Electoral Officer Stephen Peralt said that this year is quite different from the elections in the past, where Canadians are used to knowing the results on the election night. In most locations, counting of the votes in this year's federal election should be done within 2 days, but in some districts, it could take as long as 5 days. He explained that the canvassing of the advanced poll and election day poll will start on the election night. However, mail-in ballots require integrity checks, making sure that Canadians have not voted both by mail and in person. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, millions of Canadians now prefer voting via mail.
I think many people would prefer to avoid public places, so through a mail-in option, it can easily be done at your own home.
Bilang isang Canadian citizen, masasabi ko po na mas maganda po yung through mail voting.
Mariel, for Canadians who wish to vote in person, Herald said that more than 250,000 polling officers aren't required to have vaccination, but they will be required to wear masks, and safety measures are in place. Back to you, Mariel.
Thank you, RK Lorca, for that live report. A recent study of British Public Health has found that protection from Pfizer and AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines against Delta variant weakens within 3 months. Paul Gatchalian tells us the details live. Yes, Paul, please go ahead.
Yes, Mariel, the UK survey run by the University of Oxford and the Office for National Statistics published Thursday analyzed more than 3 million PCR tests from a random sample of people for a detailed picture of the infection patterns as Delta became the dominant variant this year. Data shows how 2 vaccines are performing, and sets all show how the Delta variant has blunted the effectiveness of both Pfizer and AstraZeneca jabs. With an initial efficacy of 92% and 69% respectively, it seems that those who fall ill to COVID-19 despite being vaccinated are at greater risk to others than prior variants. Strikingly, these effects are more prominent in those 35 years and older. Researchers continue to say that 4 to 5 months after the second dose, both vaccine efficacies will meet at a certain point. Additionally, the Oxford study reveals that those vaccinated when infected still have similar viral loads to those unvaccinated and infected, a clear difference in the protection against the Alpha variant. Pfizer has stated that indeed, as time passes, efficacy decreases, while AstraZeneca has yet to disclose the longevity of their vaccine's protection. Mariel?
Paul, can you tell us why the efficacy of the COVID-19 vaccines decline over time?
Well, Mariel, decreasing efficacy is not a foreign topic regarding vaccines. In fact, most vaccines do decrease in efficacy over time. A reason for this is in correlation to the plateauing of the antibodies in the immune system. That is why more booster shots are being encouraged to maintain protection from the prevalent Delta variant. Mariel?
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian, reporting live. New Zealand becomes latest country to confirm Delta outbreak. COVID-19 cases in New Zealand have now grown to 21 as authorities find links to the origin of the outbreak. Ia De Vera will give us the details live. Yes, Ia, good evening.
Good evening, Mariel. New Zealand's first case in 6 months was found to be linked to a traveler from Sydney who was under the hotel quarantine early this month. Authorities are now establishing when and how the Delta variant entered the country. Here's what New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said in her COVID-19 update.
It means now we can be fairly certain how and when the virus entered the country, and that based on timelines, there are minimal, possibly only 1 or maybe 2 missing links between this returnee and cases in our current outbreak. And the period in which cases were in the community is relatively short.
New Zealand will be under the strictest lockdown conditions at alert level 4 for at least 3 days, while the city of Auckland, where the first case was discovered, and the Coromandel Peninsula will be in lockdown for 7 days. Epidemiologist at the University of Otago, Wellington, Amanda Kowalsvig, said the nationwide lockdown is highly effective as it stops both known and unknown transmission chains. Furthermore, Ardern said that while the Delta is more dangerous, going hard and early like New Zealand did with last year's outbreaks can also be applied this time around. Mariel?
Yeah, can you tell us the details of New Zealand's lockdown restrictions?
Yes, Mariel, under the country's highest lockdown level, schools and businesses will be closed, including restaurants, takeaways, and as well as food delivery services. Residents are only allowed to leave their homes for groceries, for necessary health care, for exercise with someone from their household, and to get a COVID test. Mariel, all public areas are restricted and public gatherings are not allowed. Only essential workers or those in an alert level 4 service and cannot work from home are allowed to leave home. Back to you, Mariel.
All right, Ia De Vera, thank you for that live report. The Australian federal government has launched its first repatriation flight for stranded Australians out of Bali, Indonesia. Early Briones reports.
The first ever government-backed repatriation flight from Bali, Indonesia has arrived in Australia. The country's flag carrier Qantas arrived at Darwin Airport yesterday, carrying 186 passengers. Priority passengers were children and vulnerable citizens. They are required to undergo a 14-day mandatory quarantine in the Howard Springs facility. Although the exact number of stranded Australians in Bali have not been updated by the government, it is believed that around 1,200 people are still needing government assistance, based on previous reports. It was in early 2020 that the government urged Australians in Indonesia to return back home due to the pandemic, but only few took the advice. A campaign posted in the Australian Embassy in Jakarta Facebook page urges every Australian in Indonesia to register online should they need repatriation. The exact schedule of the second repatriation flight will be known in the coming days. Early Briones, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a final word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 13. It says, "A merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance, but by sorrow of the heart the spirit is broken." And those are the reasons behind the news August 19, 2021. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Herlene Delgado.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am Mariela Toza. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Dalawang option lang naman po yan. Mananatilang ECQ, in which case ang tanong, meron bang pang-ayuda? Or ibababa po sa MECQ. Dalawa lang po yan. Pero ang nais kong sabihin sa ating taumbayan, pangatlong ECQ na po natin to. At nakikita natin na matapos ang ECQ, hindi po kaagad bumababa ang numero.
Isang taot mahigit kalahati na tayo dito. Ano ba naman na sundin natin itong minimum public health standard, the tried and tested formula na dapat kung lalabas ka, face mask, face shield.
Hindi lang suspension, dapat tanggalin talaga sa pwesto, no? Si Duque, panagutin din si Duterte sa kanyang kapabayaan.